their intention was to deregulate federal donations, but it turns out that also has an effect on state and local elections. That aspect of the decision may be revisited by the courts, but right now there's nothing stopping businesses or unions or nonprofits from donating unlimited amounts to state and local elections too. So that decision had a direct effect on cities like Fayetteville and states like Arkansas. Just a few weeks ago, on May 21st, Dustin McDaniel, our Attorney General, issued a press release, which I'm handing out now. This is from his website. He joined 23 other attorney generals across the nation to submit a brief where they asked that the Citizens United decision be overturned. I want to read a quote he said about that brief in this news release. The Citizens United decision opened the door for corporations and labor unions to secretly spend as much as they want, whenever they want, on political issues. I believe in reasonable contribution limits with transparent reporting requirements so that the people can know who is financing candidates and issues. And the Citizens United case has destroyed those concepts. And he's absolutely right. There's nothing preventing a foreign-owned corporation from contributing to election donations or ad spending. And that's true of, again, federal, state, and local elections. So this has an effect on us. Some people think that resolutions like this are futile, and it's true that it is symbolic. But I take issue with the idea that it's futile. The most liberal editor in the state, Max Brantley, at the Arkansas Times, thought that Dustin McDaniel's effort was futile. And one of the most conservative editors at the Northwest Arkansas Times, Greg Barton, also thinks that this effort is futile. If you boil those points down to their basic parts, what they're saying is the best way to solve this problem is through inaction. I don't get that. I think that's silly. I think the best way to solve the problem is through action. And when a problem like this presents itself, one that is so big that it takes a constitutional amendment to fix, the only way to solve it is through civic actions like these. And that's why I'm asking the City Council to support this resolution and join this movement officially.
And what questions do we have? Mark, you want to add anything?
It's my privilege to co-sponsor this with Matthew. I think he stated our points very clearly.
What questions from Councilman? Any? Okay. What public comment do we have? Remember, everybody gets one turn tonight. All the way to all the
I promise I won't make a habit of getting up 3 times on 3 issues at city council meetings. I'm just really proud to be represented by Ward 2 aldermen and who brought this up this evening. I think this is an important issue, and I definitely don't think it's futile. And in fact, if you'll recall in December, when Los Angeles passed a similar resolution unanimously, I forwarded that resolution to you all in hopes that you guys would do exactly this. And so I'm really pleased that you address this. And I think that there are instances where cities, municipalities, states have to articulate and exert an opinion on something like this if they feel like national regulation or agency is so out of touch with the reality of Main Street. And I think this is exactly that type of issue. I think that the Supreme Court is out of touch with our reality, small town America, Main Street, and I think that those types of opinions or decisions have to be reversed from the bottom up. You can't reverse those types of that kind of disconnect top down. And so I'm really proud of Fayetteville. I hope we get to be first again in the state in adopting this resolution. Thank you.
then actually a little over 140 cities in the United States have now passed this resolution rejecting corporate personhood, including Los Angeles, New York City. With the ruling of Citizens United versus the Federal Election Commission, the Supreme Court basically ruled that corporations are people entitled to the same rights, like the right to free speech, as the rest of us. And they use this right to spend unlimited sums of money on candidates, elections, laws. This is unacceptable. I mean, as individuals, we have one vote. Money is not speech, and it shouldn't be what determines and controls how a democratic process works. In addition to corporations claiming freedom of speech in order to spend unlimited funds on elections, they also use other constitutional rights to increase their power and profits. Corporations claim the 14th Amendment privacy protections to prevent health, safety, environmental inspections. They also claim 5th Amendment rights against self-incrimination and double jeopardy to escape liability, where often liability is due. Corporations also utilize the 14th Amendment to equal protection to prevent local communities from creating what they call discriminatory laws that favor local businesses. This specifically affects the Fayetteville community and small businesses that, pay and treat workers better and keep currency circulating in our local economy. Fayetteville takes pride in its local businesses, and this is what the city is known for. Our local economy here depends on the success of our small business owners, so it's really important that local businesses are protected from, corporations who seek to balance the power in local economies. If we want to improve our democracy and protect small businesses, one of the most important things we can do is overturn corporate personhood by starting with passing these city and state resolutions, ultimately amending, the national constitution, stating that only, natural persons deserve constitutional rights. So today we're just asking you to please join other city leaders across our nation to take action to improve our democracy for future generations. I thank you for your time.
I think this is cannot leave question that you're asked to make a resolution on. I don't think that, our voters here are not mostly corporate owners or major shareholders in corporations that want to influence voting and such things. I think that the ordinary person who may in our city vote Republican or Democrat in national elections will be hearing something they like, that their vote should count more than it feels like it does when it gets proposed, regardless of which side, which of the four or five parties we have going on in our city election time. So I think that it's safe for you guys who have to run for office to speak in this meeting and vote, and it also will be a good thing to express. It may not do any good, but it's one more vote to win sometimes. I think this city will be part of it. So please support this single resolution, which I have read completely. I know what it's about. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Abel Tomlinson from Ward 2. I'm also a member with New President along with Kelly. And if I could, is it okay if I ask some of our supporters to stand? We had a few more songs left, but these ones are the real soldiers. So, just like to say, first off, that this isn't about opposing corporations in any way. And if I could quote from a very important book on this subject, Unequal Protection, The Rise of Corporate Dominance and the Theft of Human Rights by Tom Hartman. This, along with a book by the former Attorney General of Massachusetts, Jeff Clements. His book is called Corporations Are Not People. Those are two of the most important books about this subject. And what I've found in being involved in this movement is the public is very uneducated about this, including some of our leaders within the state government and university. We went to a state lawmaker meeting and found that almost none of the state lawmakers knew what corporate personhood was. And I went to the law school, and some professors of law school didn't know what it was. So our educational and media start educating people on this subject. And that's part of our purpose, is not just to try to pass this resolution, but to educate the public on how important this issue is. And if I can quote from this book briefly, Tom Hartman says, corporations do much good in the world, and in my lifetime I've started more than a dozen corporations, both for-profit and non-profit. So it's important to say right up front that I'm not advocating dismantling the modern business corporation. It's a societal and business organizing system that has, in many ways, served us well and has the potential to do much good in the future. What I'm suggesting, however, is that we should put corporations into the rightful context and place, as they had largely been until 1886. They are not human, even though they are owned and managed by humans. They are an agreement, not a living being. And so the idea is that we're not opposed to corporations, we're opposed to corporations claiming constitutional rights. And the reality is that this didn't just start with Citizens United in 2010. This traces all the way back to 1886. Prior to 1886, the Supreme Court decision, the Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad, prior to 1886, corporations had personhood in a sense, but it was just a metaphor. It was a metaphor that was only used for making contracts and for corporations to sue and be sued. But after 1886, they started claiming constitutional rights. And if I could, one more quick quote by Justice Hugo Black from 1938. So after the Santa Clara County decision in 1886 and the 14th Amendment was passed, which was originally designed for freed slaves, that's when corporate personhood took on this new, where corporations were claiming constitutional rights. And Hugo Black said, of the cases in this court in which the 14th Amendment was applied during its first 50 years after its adoption, less than 1/2 of 1% invoked it in protection of the Negro race, and more than 50% asked that its benefits be extended to corporations. So almost all of the cases being brought before the courts where they were bringing up the 14th Amendment, that was equal protection for freed slaves, almost all the cases, the majority of the cases were being applied to corporate personhood and not in terms of black people getting equal rights. And so, like I said, this mostly applies to massive business too. This doesn't so much apply to small and medium-sized business because it's primarily only very large businesses that are using corporate personhood to their advantage and to the disadvantage of the public good. Almost no small businesses or medium-sized businesses use corporate personhood. I mean, one of the clearest examples, and this was going on before Citizens United, they were using this right to free speech, a corporate person's right to free speech, to spend money on elections. Before 1886, there was no corporate lobbyists, no paid corporate lobbyists. It was a felony in many states for corporations to spend any money on elections. And since then, now, today, we have 38 paid corporate lobbyists to every member of Congress. We have, I think, let's see here. We have over 20,000 corporate lobbyists in Washington, D.C., an army of lobbyists. 38 lobbyists to every member of Congress. And just within the healthcare sector, we have 6 healthcare industry lobbyists to every member of Congress. And is it any wonder that we have arguably the most corrupt and inefficient healthcare system on the planet? We're spending $2.5 trillion on healthcare, and it's estimated that $800 billion of that is waste to private health insurance corporations that don't exist in other advanced democracies where they have a national healthcare plan that covers everyone. It's far more efficient. And part of that is because big healthcare lobbyists and healthcare industry is funding the campaigns of our congressmen and our presidents, and they're spending massive sums. And the biggest sums are coming from Wall Street. And we wonder why our Depression-era banking regulations are being dismantled. And we wonder why, when we have these massive bailouts, we don't reinstall the Depression-era regulations. And so I just like to say a few more things. I'll try to wrap it up. I know we've been here all night. Okay, and so with the Citizens United decision, this just expanded it even further. It just allowed even more corporate free speech. That just opened the floodgates of money. I mean, they were already spending massive sums. Now it's unlimited, and they can do it in secret. Many of these super PACs don't have to disclose where the corporate donations are coming from. They can come from overseas, like someone said. And so this is very much, to me, this is the most important issue. It underlies everything else. We're having a difficult time dealing with all of our issues: healthcare, war and peace, energy, environmental issues. All of these issues are so hard to deal with because the elections are being corrupted. I mean, and I don't blame any of the politicians. I mean, they're just doing what the system operates. I mean, the system requires them almost to promise corporations you'll do certain things so you can raise more money to win. I mean, 90% of the time, the candidate with more money wins. That kind of brings into question whether we have real democracy. Is it the money or the votes that matters more? It's possible it's the money. And I'd just like to quote a woman who I think is very wise. Her name is Molly Morgan from Reclaim Democracy, and she said, "The campaign to end corporate personhood is like applying a massive crowbar at the most pivotal point against a stuck door holding back democracy. No more trying the key in the rusted lock. No more poking with a coat hanger here and kicking at a corner there. By focusing on this crucial block, corporate personhood, and applying enough force to pry the door open, the whole concept of what's politically and humanly possible shifts in profound and exciting ways." And so, just to sum it up, the idea is that, yes, this is like the women's suffrage movement. To amend the Constitution is not easy. And it's not going to happen from the top. We're not going to have congressmen, automatically doing this. We have to create grassroots efforts, grassroots democracy. We have to pass many of these city and state resolutions. And then once we've done that, we have enough support, then we amend the national constitution. And it looks like this movement's taking off. Actually, like she said, 140 cities have passed either initiatives and referendums, or initiatives or resolutions. Most of them are resolutions. And there's 60 more cities that are in progress. The two biggest cities in America, LA and New York City, passed them. LA was unanimous. This is a unifying issue. After Citizens United passed, the Supreme Court passed Citizens United. Washington Post ABC poll found 85% of Americans opposed Citizens United decision that opened the floodgates of corporate money in elections. Both conservatives and Democrats, left and right wing, people support this. It's a unifying issue. This is not divisive. So I'd just like to say, please consider this, and please vote for this. I think to me, it's the most important issue. I care about all issues, but I like to get to the root of the problem, and I feel like this is the weed, and you have to pull it up by the roots. And please support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else?
Haven't seen y'all in a long time. I'm a lot healthier too. So, real quick before I start reading this, Wisconsin, I just looked it up.
Jim, introduce yourself.
Contour, Jim, I assume everybody knows. So, Jim Lawler, I live out in West Fayetteville. Wisconsin, I just looked at it on my smartphone, and the governor was 7-1 in funds. I had about 5 different conservative organizations trying to get me to donate to this thing. And I figured, it's none of my business. This is a Wisconsin issue. So, but right now it's too close to call. It's an hour after the polls have closed. Too close to call. Yet the governor has 7 times the money. Grassroots worked, and who knows, it may prevail. I'm gonna read a few things here. First time I've ever done this, I think. And this might sound familiar to you. Here in Fayetteville, one other thing. I'm surprised that half of this room agrees with the Tea Party. I just can't believe that. The Tea Party's been yakking this stuff, ever since they were organized. Anecdote. So, anyway, here in Fayetteville, we usually adore the varied collection of voices that gives our community flavor. Often it's not so much the conclusion everyone worries about, as much as it is the quality of the discussion that it leads to it. So I'm perplexed that elected officials would seek to homogenize Fayetteville on the national stage by proposing a resolution staking out a communal opinion for a matter on which there is, to say the least, no consensus. I don't know about the consensus part. So, those guys have a right to their opinions. Heck, they have the right to bring forward any resolution they want. They think issuing such group of opinions is appropriate, at least in limited circumstance. I disagree, not so much with the issue of the day, and I do in principle agree with this, what you're talking about here. But with the idea of the city's residents elect aldermen to issue opinions in the name of the citizens of Fayetteville, the process homogenizes the many voices within our community in the interest of advancing the perspective of one segment of the population. What I'm leading up to here is, this is kind of a protest. We have 9 members on this council that are constantly saying, we're the city council. We represent the city of Fayetteville. This is the way we believe. The bus issue would happen. You know, you just take every issue, the school issue. It just goes back and back and back. In principle, the people who sent me here, in principle, we're with you on this. And we think grassroots is the way to do it, because that's the way we do it too. But government, this government has gotten too much into saying what we believe. And I know you get a lot of people here from the university, and the university tends to lean a little left. You know, there's a different opinion in the different neighborhoods within Fayetteville. But we are a homogenous society. So, I'm not saying give up on this. I say you should come and talk to the Tea Party on this. This may be one place where, you know, apples and oranges do mix. But as a council, I'm asking you to withhold this and stop doing this over and over. There's so many things that you've said that don't represent me or the people that have sent me here. And I'm sure this city's probably 50-50 on every issue, just like Wisconsin is. So I'm asking you to start talking about this, and then get out there, take off your badge, turn around, use your grassroots methods, and get the people in it. We don't need governments coming in and doing this. We don't need organizations, international organizations, telling our city government how to do things. We've been doing this here since I lived here. And finally, this year, you know, Mayor, you finally said, okay, I see it. I'll quit supporting Italy and Agenda 21. And we assume that.
And let me clarify something. I made that decision based on budgetary decisions. I'm not saying I don't support it.
Okay. Well, you know, that's the same thing you're talking about right here. We're talking international people who have no idea what our culture is like. You know, you don't know who's drawing up these plans. You know, look at Greece. You want to be like Europe? You know, I like to look at financials. This council is constantly being influenced by outside agencies. And now the council wants to turn around and represent all the people and do a resolution. This has got to stop in this country. Walmart doesn't represent me. All 9 of you represent me in the fact of doing the normal business of the city. Parks, recreation, zoning, and all this other stuff. And I know this is hard to hear by probably everybody in this room. But the buck stops here, folks. You ever heard of taxation without representation? How much taxes do you think Walmart pays? And no, they don't walk away without paying taxes. No. These corporations pay taxes. These corporations are actually owned by human beings, people who are vested in them. They're run by human beings. Those cars don't put themselves together. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And I think this is a great place and a good time and a good issue to say, you know, we're going to do things right. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. And we aren't going to ask people who pay taxes to not say anything. What was the guy's name? Otis in Boston back during the Revolution, 1776 era. He's the one that said it. It's just not right. So, and every person that's gotten up here, I haven't heard too much say about organizations, not for profits. It's corporations. You do this, the way you're doing it, in the gay lobby that wants to support people for office, you're going to say, you can't give them money anymore.
I want you to get yourself a little under control. What did you say?
I got kind of dry mouth. You've seen that before, didn't you? The gay lobbies, okay, the organizations that get.
Well, I want you to tone that down.
What are you, I'm about ready to endorse these people. These poor people, okay, let's throw out the gay, because don't mess with my First Amendment now. Let's be nice about this and be fair.
I'm being very respectful.
Okay, anybody that puts together a group, left, right, center, is not going to be able to give money as a group to politicians. Have you thought about that? So this thing is not this simple. We gotta get together as an organization of people, not as governments, not 9 people speaking for everybody. We gotta get together as an organization of people, grassroots, and we need to put this thing together right. You know, we gotta get it back into the court. The only way we're gonna do it is by doing it right. So let's not, throw out the baby with the bathwater, and what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And to me, that's a moral principle. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Okay, who would be next?
I'm Julia Longton. I am a director of one of the local nonprofits created here in Fayetteville, and me and all the directors I have spoken to absolutely support this resolution. Thank you.
Over on the west side of Fayetteville. Been in the Tea Party down in Louisiana. Marched with some Tea Party people in the Occupy movement. I am an anarchist. I'm a religious fundamentalist Christian. All sorts of things in the search of truth. If you go and start doing all this good stuff and stand up for people, we're going to come to expect it of you. And you're probably going to piss very powerful, money people off. And more power to you if you do it. I really appreciate it. As far as like the corporations thing, people have a right to make money. That's not the issue. I think when GE pays mucho billions and gets that 150% of that back given to them in every kind of purse, that's the issue. It's not that we're not all on a level playing field. If it was a level playing field, nobody would be here raising a ruckus. I mean, the American people obviously know that we're getting swindled and just cheated out of the very birthright we have to this beautiful country. I mean, I love being in Fayetteville. I haven't been here but for a couple years, and like these guys, how motivated they are, they care. It's freaking awesome. I mean, I'm having a good time here, and thank you for listening to this, and have a nice night.
Okay.
Hi there, my name is David Gruding, and first of all, I want to really thank all of you for the enormous amount of time that you take listening to the citizens and being involved with all the decisions that you have to make. I really do appreciate it. I also really appreciate the point that I hadn't actually thought of myself that Mr. Petty made, which is really very clear that inaction is not an answer to what many of us might think was a mistaken Supreme Court decision. If we think that a decision that was made was a mistake, inaction is not the answer. It's not the way it should be addressed. Allowing unlimited, anonymous, even from foreign corporations, financial contributions to be injected into our electoral system in our democracy is wrong. I believe we all have a duty to see that this mistake is corrected, and money is not free speech. Corporations are not people, and I really urge you to pass this resolution that has been passed by over 140 governmental entities throughout the United States. Thank you.
Who else?
I'm Shelley Bonuto. I didn't come here prepared to speak. I love this town, and I've grown to love this state. And I've grown to become very concerned about things that are happening. I've grown to be concerned about our water, and I'm concerned about natural gas drilling. I'm concerned about the lack of regulations of natural gas drilling that have not been able to be passed in, new regulations have not been able to be passed in the legislature. And this is an international phenomenon. Climate change is an international phenomenon. It's a world phenomenon. I guess I'm not speaking very clearly. I'm very concerned about it because if unlimited money is able to go into electing people who are more interested in making money than in our environment, this is going to be affecting us to such a dire extent that we have no idea if there will be a world left for our grandchildren. You are our elected representatives. You are the ones who have the right to speak for us, not the corporations, not the huge amount of money. It's not 150% extra that they make on lobbying. It's more like 2,000% that comes in, or even 20,000%. I can't remember whether it's 2,000 or 20,000%. That is the return on lobbying. Please speak for the people. We really have to overturn this terrible law. Thank you.
Who else?
My name is Fernando Garcia and I live over on Storer Avenue. I don't know what the point, or the gentleman what point was trying to make with Scott Walker. I'm assuming it was that it doesn't matter if Scott Walker had 7 times so much money as his opponent, and it was too close to call. Well, Scott Walker won. And like it was said before, 90% of politicians that have more money win the elections. To me, that's not democracy. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about freedom of speech that corporations have, and an incident that happened to me, and I don't want to be the center of attention, but I'm just saying this because I know this happens to many people across the country. But I was on public property handing out leaflets in support of workers' rights. And it was on the university, and a corporation was having a shareholders meeting. I think the corporation's obvious, so I don't have to name it. But I was exercising my freedom of speech as well. I'm paid tuition to the University of Arkansas, and I was exercising my First Amendment right to hand out information. But I guess the corporations are so powerful now that my freedom of speech was, it was a right to be stepped on. I was asked to leave with another person who I was, and then after that we were harassed by, I feel that I was harassed by university police. But for a corporation to have that much power and tell a student of a public university that they have to leave and that they can't exercise their freedom of freedom of speech right there, and we have a big problem in this country. I think corporations are being too powerful. They're more powerful than people, than real people. And I think that's got to change, and I ask you to support this resolution.
Who else? All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council. Comments?
So my initial question, I want to first of all thank Matthew and Mark for bringing this forward, and I have also received a lot of emails in favor of supporting this. And my initial question was answered by your original comments was what is the role of the city? Because I do want to make sure I'm acting as a council member for the city of Fayetteville on issues like this. And I think that the thing that's what I came down to after listening and is this is a non-partisan position, and this issue is a non-partisan issue. And we're seeing that in data, we're seeing that in studies, and in public surveys, and I think it says a lot that it's important for us to consider this and make a statement that we as elected officials, I'm not supportive of anyone giving me justice, I recognize that, and as a public official, I recognize that you have to be constantly aware of whether or not to recuse yourself, if something relates to your job or your profession, and these kinds of things you have to constantly be thinking about. And this relates to that in that as a body, I think I'm supportive of this body making a statement that we as elected officials who represent the people of the city of Fayetteville are supportive of maintaining the fact that individuals decide who represents them. And so I will support it.
Yes, Mayor, I very strongly support this. In fact, had I been in town, I would have signed on with these two gentlemen, and I appreciate so much their bringing it forward. I think it's one of the worst things that's happened to our democracy in a long time. And I feel that it's very important that we do everything we can to do those things.
Anybody else?
I kind of have a question for the sponsors. I'm still, you need to explain to me a little better why, I very much support, considering, that the decision that was made by the Supreme Court is okay. I certainly agree that corporations and PACs should not be able to basically have no restrictions on political contributions. But the way this is worded in amending the Constitution, now explain to me why we're not just doing a resolution similar to what the Attorney General Justin Daniel did and 22 other Attorney Generals did, which was asking the U.S. Supreme Court to reconsider a 2010 decision that eliminated federal restrictions on independent political spending by corporations.
Sure, I can answer that.
Okay.
Okay, so what the Attorney General did is they filed an amicus brief, so that's a friend of the court brief, right? And the case in question is a case that came in Montana, which was a question of whether or not a corporation, in this case it was a corporation, could contribute money to a local election without limit. The Montana Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court, said, no, you cannot. Our state constitution prohibits it. And that has been taken up by the U.S. Supreme Court to decide if that is a crack, so to speak, in the Citizens United ruling. So that's what Dustin McDaniel is signing on to. He's saying, you need to answer that question because I need to know how it affects Arkansas. Okay, and that's what all the other attorney generals have said. So he is not calling for a constitutional amendment in that amicus brief. He's asking that they reconsider its effect on state laws and state constitutions. The reason that this resolution is worded the way it is because it's the same text of the resolution that the other cities have passed, number one. And number two, it's because the essence of the Citizens United decision is that because free speech is protected and money is free speech, that corporations should be able to contribute unlimited amounts. That was the logic of the decision. And so the resolution is to create a constitutional amendment that would prevent corporations from having that allowance of free speech in their elections. And the only way to reverse a Supreme Court decision is with a constitutional amendment, or for a court to come back at a later date, a new court, and to reverse it.
Right.
So that's why the resolution is worded the way it is.
Okay.
I would like to ask, Mr. Martin, can I ask you one question, please?
Sure.
So I just want to ask you a question. I'm trying to figure out exactly position. Are you speaking for the Tea Party or for yourself? I'm just trying to, I'm sorry for any confusion that I had. I was trying to, I just want to ask you exactly.
A lot of my friends, our Tea Party, I've kind of put that distance. It's not only coming here, but going to the Tea Party, I get away from it, my health is there. So, but this is just one issue. I had to be honest about it. As a matter of
I'm sorry for any confusion on my behalf.
No, I'm not here speaking for the Tea Party. I'm sure I, represent a lot of their thoughts in this matter. Yeah, and I think it'd be cool to see a bunch of left-wing and right-wing lunatics go together and sign this thing. So, it's a lot of fun to see the people do it. See the people, like I said, people take care of yourself,
Okay.
Mayor, I know I'm not supposed to speak about policy, but I'm going to say a couple things from the legal point of view. The Supreme Court's decision was a 5-4 decision, and it reversed a lot of very old precedent. I know there has been some ground cases back into the 1880s that began to first establish this. But I think it is important for you as the representatives of Fayetteville to look very carefully at this, because the Citizens United case basically has made it very dangerous for our democracy, I believe. Throughout history, the political system has occasionally had to confront corporate power. Andrew Jackson did it, other presidents, Teddy Roosevelt did that. This particular case, which equated money with speech and with corporations as people, and then basically allowed them to do things privately in unlimited amounts, is very dangerous for our democracy, and it's very dangerous for every elected official, because any elected official that's willing to stand up against corporate power becomes a potential target of corporate power, the corporations who want to influence election. Now, a lot of corporations don't. A lot of corporations just want to make money. We're all in favor of that. I own a lot of corporate stock. I want corporations to make money. I'm not opposed to corporations, but they're not people, and they should stay in their realm, the business realm, and not try to take over the electoral realm by massive amounts of money. And so I applaud our alderman for bringing this forward, Matthew and Mark. I think that this is a very worthwhile attempt. I hope it will be successful. It's very difficult to do, but doing nothing is worse. It's better to light a candle in the darkness and to curse the darkness. So I'm in favor of you to try to do something. I think it's appropriate that you're at the grassroots level of democracy, but this affects you just like it does all the way up to Washington, D.C.
Mike, I guess I have a question, and I'm not sure who answered it. Maybe it is Kelly. Can I ask Kelly, you think she questions?
Sure.
The question is, what's the next step?
Well, the next step is going to the Arkansas State Government, which, as Mabel said, back in October, we actually met with the Arkansas State lawmakers at one of their meetings that they held here in Fayetteville. And we spoke to them just like we did you guys tonight, and we kind of started the ball rolling on educating them on this issue. And of course, like y'all, once they understood what the issue was, they are all, saying, we agree, something has to change here. So the next major step is going through the state governments and working with them, and we have a good lead on that with Dustin McDaniels, already kind of starting in on that one there. It's more than everyone's paying more attention
You see, folks, if we do nothing, we truly fail. Another sign of office, if you come into my office, I have a lot of signs in my office, I look at every day. One of them says, intent minus action equals squat. But intent plus action equals will. The will to do something. The will to put yourself out there. To take a stand. See, you can talk about good intentions all day long, but if you don't have anything to back it up, then you're just talking. What we're trying to do here, what I see tonight, is the intent and an action plan, and that's going to take a lot of will, and I see that tonight, that there's the will to do something, to change something.